Heaven is just amazing. As in, the normal things that we see in this earth are completely different from what happens in this world. And this was Jesus' response to the Sadducees who actually questioned and did not believe in heaven. Welcome to Mark chapter 12, and this is Bible Speaks Today, a segment that examines the insights, the ideas in the Bible to see whether they are relevant for the world today. Mark chapter 12 is a chapter that is divided into three amazing chapters. Sections. Verse 1 all the way to 17. Jesus Christ is being trapped by the Pharisees, by the religious class. As if that is not enough, the Sadducees, who did not believe in the resurrection, comes in verse 18 all the way to 27. And then the scribes also joins the fray from verse 28 to 34. And Jesus Christ actually responds to each one of them very adequately, not necessarily to win the battle against them, because they were determined to trap him and to get him into trouble, but actually to correct the misunderstanding that they had about various issues. Now, we see in verse 1, Jesus begins to speak to them, and these are the religious Christ that were trying to trap him. They were simply interrogating him, and he speaks them a parable about a man who planted a vineyard. He put around a wall, dug a pit for the winepress, and built a watchtower just to keep away any intruders. Then he rented the vineyard to some farmers, which was a common practice those days. Went away, moved to another place, and harvested time. And at harvest time, he came and actually did not come. He actually sent one of the servants to come and get the produce. It was common practice for the rich people, to rent out their harvest and to go away and rent it out for somebody so that they would be collecting produce. But in common in those days, those who rented, or the tenants, so to speak, were greedy and would not actually surrender whatever it is that they were agreed. And so in verse 3, they size him, they beat him up, and they send him empty-handed. Then the master sends a second one, and still another one, and many others, and all of them, that's the same response: harsh, hostile. Then in verse 6, we see he had left. Then he had one left to send, and that was his own son, whom he dearly loved. They sent him last, saying, maybe they will respect my son. But the tenants again are very wicked. They are full of envy. They are full of hostility. And what do? They took him. They killed him. They threw him out. In other words, they treated him in a harsh manner, because they assumed now that the son has come. The assumption was the owner has died, and they said, we will get the land. The land will belong to us because the owner is dead. Okay? And Jesus Christ is using this story kind of like to tell the Pharisees, I came to you, but you people rejected me. But again, the verse 10, he says that the stone that was rejected, the stone that the builders rejected, that's so like useless, that's so like it was not important, has become important. In other words, Jesus was simply telling them that you have rejected me. I came to you to save you. I came to bring salvation. But what have you done, you people? You have rejected me. And rejection simply says you have rejected the Father. The fact that you've rejected Jesus Christ, he was saying to them, you have also rejected the Father. You rejected John the Baptist, and now you have rejected me. And what you're rejecting is very important, is valuable in your life. But look, your rejection has actually increase the value of the one that you've rejected. And the chief priests, of course, are very angry at him because they knew that the parable was spoken against them. But again, they would not arrest him. There is nothing they would do against Jesus because they knew that the crowds loved him and they treasured him. And so they left him and walked away. And our prayer is that God is going to give you wisdom that is able, when people come and trap you, you would be able to tell them the truth, that they would leave you and get away from you because they have nothing to do about you. Now, they are not done. Who comes again? Pharisees come again now from verse 13, chapter 12, and this is some later, and Pharisees, of course, means separate one, and the Pharisees and of Herodias, and they try to cut Jesus in his word, and they come to him and they call him teacher, a very honorable title that they call him. We know that you are a man of integrity. Look at the honorifics. Look at the good things they're saying. You're not swayed by others, okay? Because you pay no attention to who they are, but you teach the way of God in accordance to the truth. And this is very true. But then this is the catchy part. Is it right? Is it legally permitted to pay the imperial tax? Is it legal? Since AD 6, every adult within Judea province was supposed to pay a tax that actually went directly to the emperor's treasury. And because they paid with coins that had the idol or the image of the coin, of the emperor, most people, especially the Jews, felt offended. And the reason why they are asking him this question, they wanted to put Jesus into trouble with the Roman government. And verse 15, they asked, should we pay or should we not? They were putting Jesus into trouble because in the event that he says that they should pay, Jesus Christ would crash with the Roman government. Okay? And so, and they would see him as a rebel. And Jesus Christ knew that's what we read. Jesus was able to know, he possessed information, he recognized, he realized their hypocrisy, and says, and ask them a question: why are you trying to trap me? He exposed their intent. And then he says, bring me a denarius. This was a small silver coin that was acceptable to pay the Roman colony. And he says, let me look at it. And they brought it to him and asked them, whose image is this? And whose inscription is this? And they tell him it belongs to Caesar. Then Jesus Christ wisely responds, give back to Caesar what belongs to Caesar and give to God what belongs to God. In other words, Jesus is saying tax is an obligation, and as a Jew we are supposed to pay taxes. We are not supposed to evade them. But again, even as Jews, we are supposed to pay the annual the annual tax that every male is supposed to pay. So in other words, Jesus says, pay to Caesar, but also pay to God. And so they are not able to, his trappers were not able to get him. Then with that, we see they are amazed, they are shocked, because they did not expect Jesus Christ to answer the question in a very smart way with such an amazing wisdom. And our request and our prayer for you is that God will give you lots of wisdom, whether you're in politics, whether you're in business, whether you're in church, as a leader in the marketplace. Our prayer is that God will give you divine wisdom, that you are able to answer or respond in such an amazing way that people will not be able to trap you. The Sadducees come with a very funny story here. They did not believe in resurrection, and so they come up here and tell Jesus Christ, now Now, assume Jesus Christ, there is somebody who is a brother who marries, who gets married, but then the wife, the wife die. The brother dies before they have children. Now, it is an imaginary story, and so they say there are 7 brothers, and each brother marries this lady without getting married, and so they ask, at resurrection, whose wife will he be? And Jesus Christ in verse 24 says, are you not in error? Are you not deceived? Are you not led astray? In other words, you Sadducees, because the word Sadducees simply says, sad as you see. You are painfully ignorant, and you're painfully ignorant of 2 things. Number one, that when we go to heaven, then the earthly order of marrying will be completely forgotten. And then number 2, you have forgotten the power of God that will be able to take away the natural desires that you have. He also tells them, you people, not only have you forgotten that, but again, you have not studied the scriptures, because you need to understand that when people die and when they resurrect again, marriage will not be part and parcel of heaven. And so if you're getting married, you need to get married here, because marriage is only here. Marriage is not there. There will be nothing like children and what have you, because he says we will have heavenly bodies, we will go to heaven. And then he says, and so he dismissed them as heretics. And he says God is not God of the dead, he is God of the living. Okay, and then he says, you are badly mistaken. You're thinking that heaven will be an extension of the things that we do here. No, heaven is another praise. It is not the praise that we do the things that you think we do here. Heaven is beautiful. Heaven is real. Heaven is perfect. Heaven is full of holiness. And so he says God's presence will be there. Number 2, heaven is full of beauty. Number 3, all things will be new. This world is full of sin and lots of imperfection. When we go to heaven, the old nature of things will be forgotten. In other words, sin will be absent in heaven. There will be no more crying. There will be no more death. There will be no more diseases. And so this is what Jesus Christ is simply telling them. And then again, he is also saying we shall have new bodies. The bodies that we shall be having shall not be subject to marriage desires. They will not have the sensual desires that we have, nor would they be hungry. And the Sadducees are painfully ignorant, and he corrects their teaching. Plainly, he quotes the scriptures, he challenges them, something that we recommend that men and women of God should be doing. Now, a teacher of the law now comes back again. He asked them, and he was hearing them debating and realizing that Jesus Christ is such a smart person in terms of responding. He asked him now, Jesus, master, teacher, of all the commandments, which is the most important? And this is the scribes. And the scribes are one who wanted to get a classification of the law, and the question was more academical than it was a moral question, and the goal of this question was to make a show or portray Jesus Christ as one who had disregard for the Torah. And if Jesus Christ would be trapped, then he would be accused of treating Torah with contempt. And the question is, would Jesus fall into this trap? Let's wait and see. And Jesus says, now the most important one is this here, which is Shema, the Lord our God, the Lord is one, O Israel. The Lord our God is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind with all your strength. And then Jesus Christ said, the second one is this: love your neighbor as yourself. There's no commandment greater than this. In other words, Jesus Christ kind of summarizes the 10 commandments by saying, love the Lord. Because the first and the second and the fourth commandment, the first 4 commandments talks about our relationship with God, and the last 6 talks about our relationship with each other. And actually, the teacher of the law or the scribe actually says, you are right in saying that God is one and there is no one other but him, and to love him with all your heart, with all your understanding, and kind of says, I agree with you. Jesus Christ has not gotten into his trap. And Jesus Christ says something very interesting in verse 34. When Jesus saw that he had answered wisely, he said to him, you're not very far from the kingdom. And from then, no one dared ask him any more question. Very interesting. Very interesting. Now, Jesus Christ now is teaching in the temple courts, and he is asked, why do the teachers of the law say that the Messiah is the son of David? David himself, spoken by the Holy Spirit, declared, the Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I put my enemies under my foot. We continue reading verse 7. David himself calls him Lord. Why? How then can he be his son? Now, Jesus Christ is the son of David. But again, he is also Lord. He is superior to David. He is the root of, from all the offspring of David. But in reality, he is greater. He is more powerful than David. Now, the crowd are reasoning him with excitement because Jesus Christ was able to move away. He was able to stay away from the controversies, and he was able to emerge a winner, making his accusers or his critics look like look stupid. As he taught, that is verse 38, Jesus said, watch. And the reason why he asked them to watch is because they needed to act like servants. They needed to act like learners. They needed to have the desire to learn, not like the scribes or the religious leaders. And he says, watch out for teachers of the law, the Bible scholars of the day, because they like to walk around in flowing robes and be greeted in marketplaces in respect, and they have most important seats in the synagogue and places of honor, but they devour the houses. These people were actually taking an image. They wanted to appear to be godly, but again, they were full of wickedness and a lot of exploitation. And they rent the prayers. They pretend to be so spiritual, but again, they are wicked. And Jesus Christ actually says these men will be punished more severely. Now, Jesus Christ is in the temple, and there is a widow that comes there. He sits on the opposite. We must have been very tired after having back and forth with this religious class who wanted to trap him. And as he was sitting there opposite to where offerings were being praised, he is watching the crowd putting their money in the temple treasury. And Jesus Christ is watching people as they come and put in money. And we need to say here, Jesus Christ observed something. He observed how he was not observing how much people are giving, but he was actually looking at or observing how people are giving. We need to say it is not where you sweep that matters, it is how you sweep. And so many people, the rich people, the wealthy, are coming and throwing money in arrogance just to for show off, just to declare how much money they have. But this rich widow comes, this poor beggar who lack resources, culturally considered as miserable, rejected and outcast, comes out there and put 2 silver copper coins, which was too small for her, very tiny. It must have been her livelihood. And then with a lot of respect and a lot of humility, she gets that money. And Jesus Christ actually calls this to attention. He affirms this woman and says, truly I tell you, this poor widow has put more into treasury than all others. It is very strange that Jesus Christ is appreciating, is affirming this woman, because we need to say a few things here very quickly. Number one, that the value of the gift is determined by what it cost the giver. For this woman, it actually costed her livelihood. It was the almost everything that she had. We assume that because she was a poor beggar, then the only thing that she had between her and poverty must have been those 2 copper coins. And then number 2, about giving, we are saying Jesus does not need our money. What Jesus actually requires from us is a heart of giving, that we give with appreciation, we give with love, we give with humility, we give saying thank you, Lord, because of giving us. And again, we do not give because we have abundance. We give because we want to appreciate God. We want to tell God thank you. And then and Jesus says, these wealthy people gave out of their wealthy, but this woman gave out of her poverty, put on everything. She gave everything that she had in her life. And that marks the end of chapter 12. We thank all of you who have joined us, and we continue encouraging you to follow us. Remember to tune in or to subscribe to our YouTube channel, that is Inawezekana channel. Please subscribe and share. And until next week, such as time as this is John Kimani. That was Bible Speaks Today, a segment that examines ideas and insights in the Bible and see how they are relevant in our world today. Until next time, my name is John Kimani. Remember what we say here, Inawezekana.